You can now watch Core TV News live from anywhere in the world on our website www.coretvnews.com. Click on Live TV on our website and watch us live.
And welcome to Core TV Primetime Days.
To follow us on Twitter, click on Twitter icon on our website. On Facebook, click on the Facebook and YouTube to see all our previous news production. You can also watch us live on YouTube. Click Core TV, leave a space, then news. Core TV News, a 24-hour news station.
I'm back in this final laps of the show. I'm joined by an IT consultant in the studio now, and we're about talking about the science of the card readers. CHIJOKE EZEH, thank you very much for finding time to join us today.
Thank you very much, Nifemi.
Many have talked about the card readers as being the way out of electoral corruption. At this time, the Nigerians are talking about integrity.
Correct.
Have you been able to confirm that professionally?
Yes, it's a way out. It's definitely a way out, and it's plausible. But, well, as with many things, it's haphazard in Nigeria in the sense that it's not a few months to the elections that, you know, that's when we want to test card readers. That's when we're finding out that card readers are going to be used. It's something that we should have known from the onset. Okay, they had 4 years to prepare. It was just last week that they ran a mock test. It's not supposed to be. It's not so. We knew PVCs were going to come 4 years before now. Okay, so in the consideration of bringing PVCs 4 years ago, they should have taken this card readers into consideration.
What's the challenge of biometric authentication in Nigeria? This my phone has a fingerprint something, but I noticed that there are sometimes it fails.
Yes.
You know, is it a challenge typical to this terrain, or it's just a technology that is not 100% certified?
No technology is 100% certified. Anything man-made is prone to failure. That's why we continue to work at it. But fingerprints can fail for any reason. It might fail because of the dryness of your hand. I sweat on my palms sometimes, and then when you sweat, you leave prints faster and better. But when your hand is dry, certain parts of your fingers or your palms may not show because of the dryness. Okay. So if you had, say, 500 unique identities, you know, from your thumb, and at the time, because at the time you took it, your finger was moist, and then when it is dry, you touch it and then you have maybe 350. It wouldn't accept it because there's a disparity. That's why sometimes you have people who maybe moisten rather their fingers just to be sure that, okay, this thing can see all of my thumb.
What do you recommend that electorate do on election day in the event they're having challenges with the fingerprint?
It's tricky.
Spit or what?
It's tricky. Well, people have used saliva to do makeup, so putting it on your thumb is not a big deal. But the challenge is not just this. The challenge for me is people's reaction to it. I imagine that you go to the ATM. I've been at the ATM once where about 30 minutes later, my transaction was still processing. And at the end of the day, I had to call the bank people to say, okay, give me my card. If you won't give me the money, give me the card. Because if your ATM swallows my card, then I'll go through another process. So, and that's for my money. And my money, usually, I won't quarrel with myself over my money. But we know what elections have turned us to in this country. In some places, people waited 30 minutes for accreditation, one person. In some other places, it took about 10, 15 seconds. Now, if the average worst-case scenario in a bad situation is a minute, and you have 1,000 people at that unit, that's 1,000 minutes. 1,000 minutes is 16 hours for accreditation. So that's not a joke. It's something we really need to look at. Okay, let's say it takes you about 10 seconds. If we're fortunate, it takes 10 seconds. 10 seconds is, by 1,000 people, is 10,000 seconds. Then that makes sense. But
there are about, just a minute, there are about 4 objectives for introducing this PVC reader. One is to ensure that the card you are bringing to the polling unit is not a cloned one.
Correct.
That INEC says recorded 100%.
Yes.
I think the objective we are having challenges with is the biometric authentication, where the fingerprint comes in. Then INEC is saying in the event that the fingerprint authentication fails, then they will bring in the incident form. Of course,
Yes.
we can validate that this card is not cloned. Then we can ask you to fill a form, and then with physical examination, we can confirm that you are the carrier of the
Yes.
card. Is that a working alternative?
I think so. I think that's where we should even stop. Because if you pull out your card and it's original, then let's just skip the biometric side of things, because the challenge with that is you're going to waste time. If you're not guaranteed that this thing is going to work, 99% of the time, because in this regard, even the that's in management, there's something called the Six Sigma. It's one of these funny principles all over the world. It's a fantastic one, but it gives you that's 99.03%. If you apply 99.03% success in the aviation industry, in every 1,000 flights, you're going to have 7 crashes. Who wants to be in the 7 that will crash after 1,000? So it shows you that there are certain things that human error has to be brought to the most, I don't know how to say how well you have to reduce it. Now, if we're not guaranteed of that, once you verify that this card is original, it's issued by INEC, and this man presenting this card is the legitimate carrier of the card, please keep the biometric.
I think that's where the challenge lies. How do we verify?
Once you verify,
given the peculiar Nigerian challenges, the partisan nature of every stakeholder, anybody can come and say, yes, I am the holder. I'm the person on this.
I like this because you don't want to know what I went through to get my PVC. I would have been disenfranchised at that point. But then, before I got it, and I even went to 3 or 4 wrong places, including the INEC office. I was sent to 2 wrong places by the INEC office. But eventually, when I got it, I got to the place. I quoted a wrong polling unit because they're separated just by a fence. So when I got there and I mentioned it, and then they ran through the books, it got to a point where they said, okay, where is the temporary slip? I lost it. It was 4 years ago. But I was told that when I come here with a passport, you will match my passport and the face, and then my face, and then we'll figure out a way around it, which was done. So if at that point, and then they asked me certain questions, what's your name? It's not all the information you put out that is on the card. Okay?
I see.
So what's your name? You mention it. And there's a difference when you're estimating somebody. You know your name is Nifemi Oguntoye. If somebody gives you a dirty slap from your deepest sleep, you know your name is Nifemi Oguntoye. So your response to who you are also counts.
Is it possible that in the very face of a soldier man, you can forget your name?
How so?
It's all right. But let's touch on some other issues. The opposition party came up with allegations of a possible card reader jammer. Is that also realistic in this age?
You would have to physically damage it to jam it, because we're talking about a hardware. You can jam the frequency, yes, but you cannot jam the hardware without coming in contact with it. In the sense that you can use a magnet to jam it, because there are electromagnetic features of this machine. So if you bring a magnet close enough, but that's also bringing the magnet to it, your ATM card can be jammed with a magnet. That's the truth, because that's for the ones that have the magnetic stripe at the back. But to say that you can jam that hardware without a physical contact is very difficult.
So you're saying that that's not probably going to be a challenge?
It's not likely to be. It's not, except maybe the people in charge of it jam it, which is not something I want to consider, because it would mean that the compromise is too deep to be uprooted at this time.
It's about 10 days to the elections. Is there anything you think INEC still needs to do, in its preparedness, especially with the introduction of the card readers?
In my opinion, I think they should cut it to the point where it works. If you know that you want to do these elections and you want it to be free and fair, and you run your tests at whichever point where you have the most comfortable success rate, stop it at that point. Because anything beyond that point is going to come with human explanations. And at this point, it's too late to tell us, oh, you know, because of this. Because whoever is losing at that point isn't going to find it funny. I imagine that I am GMB in a state I feel I should win. And then you're telling me, oh, sorry, we were not able to do validation, you know, everything worked up. At the point where it is successful, cut it there. If it is just to verify that these cards are original, they were issued by us, stop it at that point. Find the alternative from that point. Because anything you don't get right leading to that time, you know, I shudder to think what could come out of it.
INEC also talked about the possibility of extending the elections by another day, just in case there are challenges. Is that also feasible?
It's something that happens in other countries. That's because the stipulated time couldn't work, and that's why. But the challenge with that is because we are used to, you know, no movement during elections. At this time when you can't keep people at home, people have to go out, find what to eat. People have to go and buy what to eat, all of these things. So will there be movement, or is there going to be a 24 or 48-hour curfew? If you do so, what's the effect on the people? I imagine not being able to feed my
socio-economic
kids,
life.
you know, so it's something we need to balance. But whether it can be taken into 2 days, if it requires 3 days, by all means, go ahead. But give us ample notice. Don't ambush us with your proposition. Give us ample notice that these elections are going to run for XYZ number of hours. So we implore you ahead, please go and take care of XYZ. That's it.
From your observation, you believe that this new technology will help in our quest for credible elections?
It's a step in, it's a very good step in the right direction.
Thank you very much for joining us today on Core Digest. I've been speaking with CHIJOKE EZEH, his IT consultant. Join us today on Core Digest. We also hope that you find time to join us subsequently.
Yes, please.
All right, that wraps it on the show today. Don't forget you can watch it again 12 midnight on Star Times channel 329. You can also watch it on YouTube. It's youtube.com/Core TV, Liver Space and News. I am Nifemi Oguntoye. A big thank you to the production crew. We'll be here again tomorrow, God willing.
What is the process? When is that? How are you, Mr. President? How is the campaign?
We must learn to live together as brothers, or perish together as fools. Martin Luther King, Jr.